Hi, welcome to Before They're Verified, the podcast where we support people who are pursuing things they are passionate about, regardless of the amount of likes or followers they have. I'm your host, Hannah, and this is episode 22, so thank you so much for listening. Today we have Kim Wannop as our guest, and she is passionate about set decorating and podcasting. Kim has worked her way up in the film and television industry and has taken on the role of set decorator for some amazing shows like Parks and Rec, The Good Place, VEEP, Bones, American Crime Story, and many others. You'll also hear about a very special award Kim received for her work in the beginning of the chat, so let's get to it. I hope you enjoy. Okay, perfect. And here we go. We have a very special guest for me today. This is Kim Wannop. She is not only this is according to what I've looked into, so if I'm incorrect, please let me know, but not only 4-time nominated Emmy nominated set decorator, but also an Emmy winner, correct?
Yes, I am.
That's amazing.
I used to have Emmy in the background,
I love
and
it.
then I was like, oh, that's kind of like a baller move, and I'm not that big of a baller. And then I was like, oh, I can't have her in the background. It's just kind of not nice, I think. So I took her out.
I
She's
think
upstairs.
perfect.
Yeah.
I feel like someone has like one of their Oscars in their bathroom or
Oh,
something.
I think a lot of people do, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if you don't, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, some people donate them to the museums and some people do that.
that's cool.
My goal is I need to get another one because I have twin boys.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta leave them both one. So that's the goal.
There you
I gotta get one more.
Perfect. At least one
Yeah.
more. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that win was for your work on VEEP, correct? Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. And you've worked on
Mhm.
so many cool shows and movies. But yeah, so I kind of wanted to start. We'll do some kind of just intro from you because for my podcast, it's all about, people pursuing their passions and you're doing that to the fullest extent, I believe. So, yeah, I'd just like to start a little bit with kind of a brief, like, kind of just where you're from. I know that you're in LA now, so you made your way over here, and that kind of transition from normal life to the industry, I guess, would be great.
Oh yeah. I definitely was like the girl in school who knew that guy in that movie that you saw like a year ago, and I'd be like, Steve Buscemi. Like I was that dork. So I kind of was just always into film and TV, and probably I don't know, like my parents just let me watch TV way too much and not in my age group at all. I think I was like 6 when I saw Clockwork Orange, which I think I have 5-year-olds now, and I think, wow, it scarred me.
Yeah.
So, and then I had this passion of always, like on Saturday mornings too, watching like This Old House and always like drawing floor plans and looking at like furniture magazines. And it really wasn't until high school that my art teacher was like, you should be an interior designer. And how she knew that, because she was like stoned out of her mind, typical art
Yep.
teacher, or maybe that was good. She gave me that idea. And so then I started to pursue interior design and went to school for interior architecture. And my boyfriend at the time was pursuing film school and was going to move out to LA after college. And my parents were like, no. And I was like, look, I have $3,000. That's a lot of money. And I'm just going to try it. And if I don't get a job, I'll move back.
Mhm.
So we both moved out after like 2, 3 weeks after college. And I don't know how my parents let me do that. And within 8 weeks, I had a job. And I think I worked consistently for like years.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I didn't have time off for years. So, but what I did learn was I didn't know what a set decorator was really. I mean, I knew there was design in movies, but I didn't know the different levels and the different titles and what everybody did. And so it was very much a learning experience on the job of learning what everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took the path of wanting to be the production designer, and through that learned I kind of just want to I want to go back to my passion of furniture and everything and be a decorator.
Cool.
So I did go to school for interior design. I don't feel like you have to do that. I feel like it helped me. I feel like learning the history of art and architecture helped me. I absolutely know that I was hired at least 2 or 3 times because I knew how to draft,
Mm-hmm.
um, because people hand drafted back then.
Yeah.
And I knew CAD, which the automated drafting. So those skills that I learned in college did help me. And I still use a lot of what I learned in college now.
Mm-hmm.
What I learned in fabrics and things like that. So I'm not saying you have to do it, but it definitely helped me. So some sort of history of architecture and film history, I
Mm-hmm.
think, is helpful.
Yeah.
Passion for film, but I went from being a production assistant on TV just in general in the office to working on set to working in the art department, to being a coordinator, to being a buyer, to being I mean every level I
Yeah.
worked my way up, and I honestly think that that's the way to do it, because when you get to the position that you are, you need to know what everybody's job is.
Mm-hmm.
Helps you as a manager
Yep.
to manage people and know what their jurisdictions are and what their job titles are and
Mm-hmm.
what they're responsible for and what you're making them handle. So I started decorating, I think, in 2005.
Wow.
I moved out to LA in 1999. I'm so old, but
No.
so it took a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It took a long time. And again, like I said, like I pursued a path to design and then I kind of got there and then went back to kind of had to take steps backwards to then go into decorating.
Right.
So, but it was all a learning process. And I have met, you work with so many different people and you work on so many different projects, because it's not like interior design where you're working on a project that's going to be built and it takes 3 to 4 years.
Right.
So I'm working on a show now. It's 8 episodes. I started in January. I'll be done in May.
Mm.
So you're quickly working with people. You need a lot of like people skills.
Yeah.
And over the years, you start to work with a lot of people. And although you think it's this big industry, it's not. It's
Right.
it's kind of a small pond.
Yeah.
So it's great. I kind of love that. I
Yeah.
love that I get to run into people that I worked with, 10 years ago and
Mm-hmm.
sync up with them again. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really
Amazing.
I was a dork and I followed my passion and I was relentless. I was just absolutely relentless of sending out resumes. If
Yeah.
I changed the font on my resume, I sent it out again. I
Wow.
I had when I that first like 3 months in LA, I would send out like I have to send out at least 10 to 15 resumes a day.
Mm.
Like I would just hunt down designers or TV shows and just send resumes out of like, and that was actually, when I think of it now, like the worst time, because shows weren't filming in the summers and I didn't really
I
realize
see.
that then. So
Right.
um, but yeah, I was just relentless and I network. I still network a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still involved in the Set Decorator Society of America. I'm involved with the Emmys, just any organization that I can be involved in just to get to know people.
Yeah.
I'm just all about that.
That's
So,
great. Yeah, I moved here 3 years ago,
LA,
and to LA, yeah,
LA,
from
yeah,
Oregon, and yeah, it's that was one of the other reasons I was super excited to talk with you, is because it's kind of I just like related to, I was like, oh, I got a degree in interior design. I
yeah,
love film. I love I'm a dork too about it.
yeah,
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 I would sit with my family. Um, and watch movies and television shows and growing up. And I was always the person who would like, catch the tiniest of details and be like, oh,
yeah,
like, or just even how they would like have to get a shot in or something where I'd be like, oh, well, they would have had to switch the entire, I just went fangirl over it.
yeah,
And then moving here, it's, I mean, and now it's a lot. I'm sure it's different in like social media and like
Yeah.
all of that part of it. So it's almost like, oh, well, you don't have an excuse not to find people. But it's hard. It's still super hard to like feel like you're being genuine and like put yourself out
Yeah.
there and put those resumes out there and things like that. It's a hard business for sure.
I do think it's much easier to find people now. And to be quite honest, because I literally would call the lot.
Oh,
I
wow.
would ask for ER. They would patch me to the ER, to like ER. I'd ask for the art department. They'd patch me to the art department.
Wow.
Ask for their fax number. I'd fax or email a resume over, depending if it was 2001 or
Yeah.
2002. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm dealing with here. But now you find a designer online and you
Mm-hmm.
can direct message.
Yep.
I mean, that's something. I think I'm part of an old school, and I think a lot of people in the art department, somebody had to help you to
Mm-hmm.
get you in, like in meaning like in the union, because the whole other realm of this is that you can't work on these shows unless you're in the union.
Right.
There's plenty of non-union work that you can, get experience on and everything, but you have to work on something that turns union, or you have to get enough hours that you can become into the union, and then you can work on ER. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it became like such this like uphill battle back then of like, I'm never going to get in the union.
Yeah.
That was the battle. And like all of my friends who were like, out of film school, or like, all struggling as PAs, were like, we're never going to get in the union. How do you just find a film that's going to turn union? And then like one by one, we all did. And
Yeah.
it took years.
Yeah.
And some people didn't. Some people got really lucky and it was like their first job. And you're
Right.
like, whoa, you don't know anything. But yeah, it's a lot of networking, and I definitely try to help people as much as I can in meeting with people, or emailing with people, because like somebody helped me,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, I'm sure in costumes and editing and everything, it's in that world too. I feel like creativity wise, the art department has this special little bond with like trying to bring people in.
Yeah.
Like, if you have this passion, if you want to get into this, we're going to tell you it sucks. But if you really want to get into this, like, we'll help you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it is easier now to
Mhm.
direct contact like a designer or decorator. And I think that's great.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you just, I mean, were you just so like, this is the only job I know I want to do, and that's just what kept pushing you to pursue it and like not give up, and even though you said it took years and it was hard, or did you have some
Well,
moments where you were like, "Oh, maybe I should go back home."
well, first I did about 8 months being a PA, and I was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm separating sour balls and like Hershey miniatures for this producer.
Yeah.
I have a college degree. I can draft. I can draw. Like, I'm being wasted.
Mhm.
And I was like, forget it. I'm gonna go. And I got a job as a librarian in a interior design firm,
Oh, cool. Cool.
because I was like, forget it. And I worked there for almost a year. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
You're picking out tassels and like sofas that you're not even going to see for like 2 to 3 years in Kuala Lumpur. Like, what? Like, it was a hospitality, and they did these huge projects and everything, but the lead times for everything, and I was helping them again. The job helped me tremendously because I got to know the Pacific Design Center. I got to the libraries and the samples and all of those showrooms,
Mhm.
which helped me later on too.
Mhm.
But after being there a while, I was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
This is like, then I felt lied to in school, that the reality in school of like working on projects, and then talking to people that I had graduated with, and then being like, yeah, I'm a draftsman and I put in a fire extinguisher every 75 feet, and that's my day. Like, I
Yeah.
go through hundreds of plans, and that's my day. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, no
Right.
wonder suicide rate of architects is like really high.
Right. You're like, I get it. I
um
get it now.
yeah. And then my parents were really on me,
Mm.
and I was on myself of like, well, what am I doing here? I
Yeah.
hate LA. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of LA still.
Yeah.
What am I doing here? If I'm not going to work in film, then I got to move back.
Yeah.
And there was something inside me of like, I can't give up. I gotta try again. And so then once I left the interior design firm, I think I went right to Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, sweet.
Because then I was like, I'm not gonna go, I have to focus. By then I had a little like direction. Like I can't, I don't want to work just on the production side, which is like the office and the set.
Right.
I need to focus on the art department. Like I didn't even know that when I first got here, kind of. So then I was like, I need to do this. And no, it wasn't art department. It wasn't Wheel of Fortune. It was like some movie. It was like some really like low budget movie. So then I just was like, art department, and started like really pushing that. And I just kept like sending out resumes. And then I got something. I was like, peace out. I'm going to work in Hollywood. And they were like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, thanks.
Time.
But I did hop back and forth in the very beginning.
Yeah.
I do little side jobs every now and then. It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
I don't really like working with real people and real budgets, and real opinions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but I do like I have plenty of side houses, but I do some interior design on the side every once in a while.
Wonderful.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know, I've done a couple houses here and there. So
yeah.
it's mostly just set decorating.
Yeah, that's again, that makes me feel slightly better because I feel like I'm in that mode of like, well, it's hard to break into this industry. It's hard to find things and do what you want. But, I've been trying, like you said, to like reach out to people and just kind of get more advice, or just like, it kind of just makes you feel better when people are like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I went through, or that's how it is. Or, you realize like, okay, you're not unique in that way. It's like, you just got to keep going if you really want to. And like you're saying with LA, people ask me, when I go back home or I visit friends or whoever it is, they're like, oh, do you like living in LA? And I'm like, it's not that I don't like living here.
Tolerate it.
It's like the only, I tell people this all the time. I'm like, if I were to live anywhere else, I think I would be worse. Like, I think I need to be here to feel the energy and like, to make myself push myself and be like, these are all the people who are trying to do the same things as you, be nice, but go for it. And like, so yeah, I think that's where when people ask that, I'm like, I don't necessarily enjoy it, but I need to be here for some reason. So
yeah. I think too, older now, but when I was younger and it was like going out, and there was like the scene and like the strip and like going out and clubbing, like did all of that, and it was awesome. I don't know where that is now. I don't know where people go. I don't know where you're hanging out.
I don't really know either.
I don't know where. I don't get it. I don't see it happening. I'm not driving around on a Saturday night either. But the strip is gone, from what I can tell, which was like a huge thing, and like just Hollywood wise, like just a huge thing to be there. And I find it, like, people ask me even now, like you are like, how do you get in now? And I've answered so many things, and I've done a podcast myself on it. Like, here's step by step what I did. You can't really do this now. I don't think it works now, but here's what I did. And if you can kind of, clock it to your life now, like social media type, or like however you're going to do it, but this is what I did. This is how I think you can do it now. But I really don't know. I think it's because it's so slow now, in a sense. It wasn't as, it was busy back then too, but there was more of a structure. Like I said, like I was sending out resumes in like July when all the shows were down. Well, that's why nobody was answering me, and that's why I didn't get a job till August, because that's when the shows started up. Like I didn't know that. But now there's really no structure. There's no pilot season really anymore. And that started to change now in the early 2000s, when streaming started to come along, and then or even earlier before that, in the late 2000s, there was like this mini pilot season in the winter, and they would have like a mini pilot season. That was kind of cool. And so, things do change, but the structure now is like, I didn't hear of one pilot being made this year.
Jeez.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like, I've said that to so many people. I'm like, do you know anyone who works on a pilot this year? And they're like, I haven't heard of one.
Wow.
That's frightening. And I know that we just went through the strikes, and I know that there's potential strikes coming up, and those are all, things that could affect why these things aren't happening.
Right.
I think I have been very lucky in my career to have hit that kind of golden age before and after COVID of like the production of TV and the level of TV going up. And then unfortunately, then it's like a bubble burst. It's like the internet, it burst. They thought they were going to make all this money and they didn't.
Yeah.
So they're rethinking their structure, and I think it's going to take a little bit for them to figure it out, but we're still going to make things like TV and everything. It's still going to be made. I think people are going to have to travel more. That's my kind of opinion.
Cool.
But amazing things are still being made, and they're going to need people to work on them.
Yeah, everything's just adapting and changing.
That's all it is. And you just have to be in the right place, the right time, and have the right skills. I mean, you have to be prepared for when you get the call.
Right.
That's always been the thing, is like, you have to be resourceful. You have to be, ready to go. When they say jump, you got to jump. Unfortunately, I still jump. So
absolutely.
It happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I also want to talk about, obviously getting into what you do is like you said, working up the ladder and doing all those smaller things that you get to be more on top and learning all of the, just being educated on everything so that when you get there, you know what you're doing. So I kind of also wanted to, also for the listeners, I know a little bit more just because I'm in the design mindset and the film mindset, but just for listeners too, there is that difference, like you were saying earlier, between like a production designer and then a set decorator and designer. And so in my thought process, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but a production designer is more so like the overall visuals, tone, just what it's going to feel like. And then the set decorator kind of comes in and adds all of the details. Is that kind of what you would say? And could you just kind of describe a little bit what your main tasks are?
Yeah, the designer is the one with the vision, and the one who is going to, like you said, set the tone of how this is going to look and feel and create the world for these characters. And so if the set is this room, he designs this room, the windows are going to be here, and he designs that with the set designer. Like, we want the light to come in this way. The set designer would say, okay, we want, clear story. Do we want them, wall to ceiling? The set designer would take care of, do we want to do anything over here? Should we have the door jet in a little bit? So he works with the set designer that way, and they design the room, and he goes through that. And then designer would pick the paint color. Well, in LA, the designer picks the paint colors and the wallpaper. Okay. In New York, the decorator picks wallpaper. But
wow.
And so then once it's the flooring.
Okay.
In LA, the designer picks the flooring. In New York, I think the decorator picks the flooring.
Fascinating.
And then also any hardware, any of the door handles, the latches on the windows, things like that. The structure, the bones of the room.
Cool.
The feeling of this room, whether it was, if it's a horror movie and it's all down, and if it's aged and ugly, or, this room has wallpaper and it's, looks a little mid-century-ish with that. But, and then I get the vibe of it. All right, are we, colonial? Are we mid-century? What is our character? Who is living in this room? How many people are in the room? Is it a bedroom? Is it a living room? Like, anything like that.
Cool.
And then the set designer and the designer will have come up with a floor plan, which is, the bed will come here, the sofa will go here, and tables and everything. I also like to, if I have found a specific piece, say I'd like to make this bed work, or I'd like to make this sofa work. Here are the dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
You can always try to jump in with anything if, you have sizes and try to help out there.
Nice.
And then I come in and I would select any rugs that are freestanding rugs, furnishings, lamps, drapery, blinds, ceiling fixtures I would do, and paintings, pictures. So the decor of the room would be the set decorator.
Perfect.
The more the character pieces. Then say you have a desk, the pens, the pencils, what are they writing with? What is on the desk? Anything, the character, anything like that. Now, if it's a specific thing like, oh, the character has a briefcase that he keeps all of his, specific papers in and blah, 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 blah. Props would do that.
Okay. That's what I was like, where does that overlap then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And we overlap constantly with props, and it's always a conversation. But cool. You kind of know, that's a person. Usually it's personal items, or if it's work, like if it's a real working item.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's props. Like this past week, we have a working microwave, which it's a simple thing. Like I can get a working microwave. Now they want to shoot through it, so I'll get it because we got to cut through it or whatever.
Gotcha.
But then we're also getting an ATM machine, but the prop master's getting that because it has to spit out, like it repeatedly has to spit out at a certain point, the money and the thing. So the prop master will have that. They have that at his prop. Well, they have it at all prop houses. Anyway, so that would be kind of the layers of who's taking over in this room.
Perfect.
So I would say also in constructing the room, like if they had to build this, the art director would be in charge of, making sure the plans are getting out to construction in time, making sure communication between me and the construction coordinator is, you'll have this set on this day, we're having this issue or whatever. He's also talking with grips and lighting to make sure like the grid is up top and when are you guys getting in, and I'm talking to lighting so they can get out of my way and making sure paint, is getting in here. So the art director, having influence with hardware and is coordinating all these other things at the same time.
Wow.
What else? Graphic designer, if you have anything specific, if there's a specific newspaper on the desk or anything that you have to make graphics up for, anything called out in the script,
right?
They would have input in the room. If I have diplomas up in the back, if it's a doctor's office, I'll ask the graphic designer to make up those diplomas for me. What else we got going on? That's kind of it. And then we have coordinators, like in the office, you have a art department coordinator, and they would be responsible a lot of like the paperwork, the purchase orders, distributing the plans, distributing the set lists, which is a breakdown in the script of all of the sets. They have numbers on them and we code everything. When we purchase something, we have to code them. They're in charge of a lot of that. A lot of like the accounting and paperwork is the coordinator. Product placement, things like that goes through them. So they're kind of like the hub of the art department, the coordinators, like vital. You got to have a good coordinator. And then the PA is, catching it all and getting lunch and, being cool and doing some crafts for us, making some posters and
always being there, right?
I was a PA on the show American Dreams, which is a period show, and I used to get to do all these big posters and like draw, and I was like the greatest feeling at like seeing like, oh my God, I drew that poster.
Right.
It's on TV and this is crazy. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
Crazy. That's my handwriting. And now if you watch any of the show I've ever worked on, my handwriting is like every bulletin board we ever do. Anything ever written is like my handwriting. And I'm always like, oh, I hate my handwriting.
Like I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
PA, where are you at? You need to do the handwriting.
Anyone else want to write on this whiteboard?
Exactly. Oh, I love it. That's one of the things I feel like sometimes I notice is like, I don't know why this sticks out to me, but I watched To All the Boys I've Loved Before when it first came out, and it always just sticks in my mind. But there's like, they're writing the contract. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's pretty much like, it's like a rom-com, but they like have to like they're making a contract about their rom-com vibes, and like every single cut to the paper is like a different, like they wrote it,
Oh,
and I'm like, that's so annoying,
the
but
handwriting and everything. Oh,
it just like it's all in like different areas. I'm like, why didn't you just keep this consistent? Anyway,
yeah.
but
Important.
yes, that's so many moving parts, like you said, and they're
Yeah.
all crossing over. I did want to ask you too. You were talking a little bit about like the characters and if they have certain very specific pieces for them. How often do you really look into the character when decorating, and how much of that is part of the conversation? Like obviously you're having to deal with all these technical things, but like when is that process where you sit down and you're like, what would their room look like, and how
Yeah.
does that work for you?
That's the best part. I mean, that's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
What I learned over years is I'm brought on, the designer is brought on kind of a long time before actors are brought on.
Yeah.
I'm with this character. I'm growing with this character. I'm developing this character a long time before the actor gets there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's sometimes, you know, you're getting notes from the writers, you're getting notes from the showrunner who is, always talking with the designer, and I'm getting notes from the designer. I always love the note, messy but organized. That's
Yep.
always the best.
Controlled
But
chaos.
there's a lot of little notes you can get. Like she's rich, but she's cheap. Like, okay, you can do that. But there's some things I like to see what wardrobe is doing
Cool.
with people and what colors they're putting them in. I work a lot with wardrobe too, especially when we're doing bedroom scenes, like what sheets to use, what color sheets to use, like what's their nightgowns or what are they working in. Character wise, sometimes you don't have future scripts.
Mm.
You don't know what this character is going to get into. It's only in the mind of the readers. So you can only pull from what you're being told.
Right.
So anything you can pull at any time from the writers or anything is fantastic. A lot of times in the beginning of a series, they will give you, or you can ask for character background or a
Cool.
breakdown of a character. And they will have done that. I mean, I've gotten some characters like 3-4 pages
Mm.
that
Love
they
it.
give you, and you're like, oh my god, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
He worked for Ford, he did this, like he grew up in Texas, and you're like, okay, I have so many things I can do right now.
Yeah.
And that's the best that you can get. There's also things of like, it's a one-off. Oh, she likes cats, like, you know what I mean. There's always that, like, we did an office gesture and we're like, he's a golfer, yeah, let's make him a golfer. But there's also things, I'm working on a show now, and the actress is in it, and I keep thinking to it's Sally Struthers, and I keep thinking to myself, this is the only this I am never gonna get to decorate a room for Sally Struthers again, probably. What are the odds?
Yeah.
So, I want to have some meaning, and it's a quick scene, like it's like 3/8 of a page or something. I
Wow.
don't know why we're doing the whole room, but I really wanted to dive into it, and so I looked at her wardrobe, and I've seen we're on like episode 5 or something, so I've seen her act, which is so helpful. I really can't express how helpful it is because you can read it in your head
Right.
so differently than how it's acted.
Yeah.
And I think it's very easy, for anyone to envision a character's room after you've seen the actor play it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to, as a decorator, you have to do this before anyone is there.
Right.
And my job, is to hopefully lend to their process and to give them elements in the room that help them become their character.
Yep.
And help them feel what this scene is or something. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get her in that room and see if she's okay with what I've done.
Yeah. No, I
Let's see.
bet that's kind of nerve-wracking for sure to be
Yeah,
like, you put all this work, and like you said, 3/8 of a page, you put all this work and time
yeah.
into this one thing, and then it's shot in, a day, and you're done. You're done with it.
It's shot in like 3 hours and you're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And now that is one of the sad parts, is like you're going to put so much effort into things and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone in 3 hours and
Yeah.
then they take it down and it's gone.
Yeah. It's like making dinner. You spend so long and then
Yeah.
you eat it.
Dinner. Yeah. It's exactly. That's a great analogy. It is making dinner. It sucks.
At least though, it's in a capsule. Like you get to go
Yeah.
watch it over and over and over again. So
True.
it lives on. So that's nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I'm glad that you said that. Yeah, because I feel like that's I mean, it goes both ways. You can watch something and be like, wow, that's takes me into their world, and it could be done poorly where you're like, that seems weird that is what their room looks like or something, and so it's a hard job to bring it to life.
I think too, whenever you see something that's weird, let me just play a little something.
Yeah.
Whenever you see like a picture that's like, why is that there? Or like, why is that there? Like, what is that about? There are so many restrictions that we have
Yeah.
when we go into locations. Like, I can't make any holes. We can't paint.
Yep.
We have to do this. There's this and there's that. So sometimes you have to use existing nails, or like, why are the curtains like that? Well, we can't do anything here. It's tension rods and blah, blah, blah. Like sometimes in just the defense of like my craft, there's things beyond our control sometimes that lend to like not so great visuals.
Yeah, makes sense.
There's also, once we leave the set, we hope and we pray that our on-set dressers, who are the people who are, crafting the shot in the back and making sure that lampshade back there doesn't have the seam.
Yep.
Or, making sure like every picture is, not crooked and things like that. And putting the set back together, because literally I dress a set and then they bring the camera in and half of it goes away before I leave. Before they shoot, and he has to put it all back together he's only seen it for a minute,
right?
So that's a really huge job in itself too. Things, the lighting, DP, oh, the sun moved, oh, now we have to shoot it this way. Things come out of our control sometimes.
Absolutely.
Especially in TV. So they move that picture over there. I didn't want that picture on that wall. Or why is that way? Why did they skew the desk this way?
Yeah. So
there's been plenty of times that I've looked at dailies and have screamed.
Oh no.
I'm like, what happened? Oh. And I've like texted my on-set dresser, or like the next day, like gone on to set and been like, what happened? We weren't going to look that way.
Yeah.
Why did you shoot down there? You didn't even tell me. I could have came back. I could have done this. Like, so many things happen that are out of your control.
Absolutely.
So if you do see something, give a little,
good to know.
Don't judge.
Perfect. No, that's what's so cool about knowing what happens behind the scenes of everything. Because yeah, it's always a question, and like if it's doesn't matter, like certain people like us who are just paying attention to all those little things, right? But for other people, they're not even gonna they're not gonna notice. But yeah, all those little details are always fun for me to know about. Or like I love like learning about how scenes are like shot in like so many days and stuff, and you're like, it was like a 3-minute scene and they like it goes into like makeup and hair, and I'm like, how do they keep it the same? And I just read this book on Scorsese. Oh.
And it I think it's just called Scorsese. You can look it up. But it goes through almost all of his career. It only goes up to Cape Fear.
Okay.
But it is about like his editor and like Thelma Schumacher and like all of these other people who he collaborated with throughout the years, like Raging Bull and like all of his movies. And it's, each by chapter, but it is, I feel, a really great like capsule of filmmaking. And the thing I really learned about it is like, wow, I know I've had so much prep sometimes and it comes down to last minute.
Yeah.
And it feels like a failure. And you hear like, he prepped for years on Last Temptation of Christ, and he was making last minute decisions that he hated. Like, okay, well, I guess it's a word. Yeah, it's called Martin Scorsese by Mary Pat Kelly. So it was really good.
I'll definitely check it out.
I
Yeah,
would recommend that.
definitely. No, yeah, and like you said, it comes back to that thing where it's like you talk to more people, you realize like, oh, everybody's just it's all
Yeah.
the same. It's all the same thing. You have
Yeah.
to act confident, but those things happen for sure.
Yeah. Always act confident.
Always act confident, right?
Always, always.
Perfect. I wanted to transition now into a little bit of some shows and things that you've worked on. I came across your work because I kind of did what you were talking about a little bit, but when I first moved here, I started to just research all of my favorite shows and movies, and I would look at who did what on the productions. One of my favorite shows is The Good Place, and you worked on season 2, 3, and 4 of The Good Place, correct?
Yeah.
And you've worked on so many other shows and movies and stuff, and I'll probably put that in my intro, but I have to fangirl for a minute. But how was it like working on The Good Place? What were some of your favorite sets and memories from working then?
Well, I wasn't a fan of The Good Place when I first got on it. I was like, this is dumb.
Like you watched the first season to prep or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I had watched
funny.
the first season. I was like, okay. And then I worked on it, and it had been with the people from Parks. So I was with like Mike Schur and Morgan Sackett and David Hyman and all these producers and all of the people that I had been with.
Yeah.
So it was nice, you know. It was great. And so I was like, okay, this is great. And I was doing Veep at the same time, which was super intense and just completely different kind of comedy.
Right.
And so it was a really nice like a like I was like, okay, this is great. But when you start to work on it and you see how special it is behind the scenes with Mike Schur and everyone there who cares so much about it, and you get into it, you just get into it and you start loving it.
Yeah.
So for me, the finale, I think, is one of the best things. I could cry now just thinking about the finale. And there's so many Easter eggs that we put in there in dressing and costumes and everything. I loved that what's that dungeon, the torture dungeon.
Yep. Like the museum, the dungeon museum.
I'm in it, actually.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
of me on a cell phone. I'm like the first person to text, I'm leaving now, and I'm nowhere near ready.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
I don't even know if it made the cut, but that was really fun to do. It's kind of like when you read it and it just keeps going on and on and on of things that we have to get, and you're like, how long is this scene? Is the whole show in the dungeon? Like the list of things that we had to get was probably like 50 or 60 things. Like it was crazy. And working with graphics, and it was as simple as like the first like nail cutter, and we got like a cheese grater. Like there was things that you never saw, but they were there. Like we saw the bigger pieces there. So I loved that. I loved I was in the finale or the one before when we got to shoot at the Getty.
Yeah.
And that was the little experience tables and everything, like a world full of bubbles, and we just got little puff balls and like things like that. Or we did that big party in the back lot with like the big colorful frills, and I think that's when the giraffe went through the back, through the streets. That was really fun. Doing stuff that was in Australia too was fun, and researching that. I love doing Chidi's childhood home.
Yeah.
Thought that was really fun. I was on maternity leave at the beginning of season 4.
Okay.
So David Smith did Chidi's apartment, his apartment, which I thought was really beautiful. What else? Mindy's house, which I didn't originally do, but then we expanded on, was so super weird.
Yeah.
I hated going out and dressing that because it was so far away. But
that's the one in the like field, right?
So weird. Yeah. She's stuck in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
Mindy's bedroom. That
Their
was so
lukewarm
weird.
beer or whatever it is.
Yeah, so weird.
Oh, that's funny.
Janet's Void. Janet's Void was fun. The white void with Timothy Oliphant in it. What else do you want in life?
That's my favorite. My favorite episode is the Janet's episode where she just Darcy Carden. I don't know how she did that, but it's impeccable.
I think season 4, I think we got to do some really cool stuff. That accounting firm that we did.
Yes.
It was literally like 98 cubicles that I dressed exactly the
Yeah.
same with all the same graphics, all the same. I had to find like 98 of those like old computers.
Yeah, that's
And
impressive.
it was, yeah, that was a huge dress. It wasn't a hard dress because we kept it really simple.
Hmm.
But sometimes when you keep it really simple and you're like, I just want 98 CVR computers. Like,
Yeah.
how is that hard?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, we have to go to like 10 different prop houses and go to like a junkyard.
Yeah. You're like, oh, we live in 2015, right? I forgot.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Because
dude.
because more than half had to work because they were facing the screen,
This,
and then
wow.
they made it beyond, infinity or whatever. So
Yeah.
that was fun.
So cool. So cool.
There were so many sets that were fun.
Yeah.
Just the imagination of Mike Schur on that, and everyone just having fun with it.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and I'm with them. I'm with all of them right now. I'm with Mike and Morgan and the guy who did all of the special effects, like Dave Meadnagar, the costume designer Kristen Mann. Like
Wow.
it's like I'm home right now. I'm with Ian Phillips, so it's really nice right now too. I'm with Ted Danson. It's
Oh,
really nice right now. Like we're all home right now. It's
yeah.
nice.
That's that. And like you were saying before, you meet people and then you find people you want to work with, and then it
Yeah,
takes off, and that's how you make it through, right?
yeah. This is what, like our third or fourth show all together, so it's nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Perfect. I wanted to ask you about your podcast, and
Oh, yeah.
then we'll kind of get into the last little part of my podcast, but because then we'll do a little bit of rapid fire, and then we'll talk about your charity that you chose. But you have a wonderful podcast called Decorating Pages, and I encourage everyone to go check it out. I was listening to some episodes yesterday, and I've just listened to before, and that's again one of the ways that I found you. And it's kind of like what we talked about right now, but just you talking to a lot of cool people in the industry and getting behind the scenes stuff. So how did you decide and want to start that podcast?
It's me dorking out
Yeah.
to people I just want to talk to.
Yeah. You're like, I need a reason.
People I'll never get to work with, but I'm like, forget it. If I can't ever like get to work with Arthur Max, I'm just gonna like talk to
I'm just
him.
going to ask him.
Yeah. I started it in 2018, and I was like, you know what? Podcasts are taking off. This is our industry. People want to know what we're going to do, what we do.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. So I convinced like 5 of my friends to do some, I don't know who I think I am, like somehow figured out how to like do a podcast.
Yep.
I'm sure like you.
Yep.
Like, oh, I can do that. I can record this, and then I just push this button and it's like somewhere.
Right.
And God forbid right now, if like my hosting site identity goes down or something, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I had to redo any of this. Like if it goes out, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I did it so long ago. So I did that. I did 5 episodes, launched it, and I like literally like a week later found out I was pregnant with twins.
Oh, wow.
And I was starting the last season of VEEP. And I was like, wonk, wonk.
Yeah. There it goes.
That was fun. And so then, 10 people listened to it, and that was fun. It was the 5 people who I interviewed and I guess 5 more friends. But it, little by little, people here and there, whatever, I'd send it to people. And so a year later, I was like, no, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I now have 6-month-olds. I'm just getting
That's
back.
better,
now.
right?
I'm starting back on the good place. I can do this. I can do it here and there. And I have a whole resource of people I work with. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you look at that, like then those episodes are like the director on Good Place and like, people I'm working with then, because then I'm like, I have a whole pot here of people. I have many episodes on the Good Place where we just like talk about through a whole episode. So then again, it was a lot of just my friends and people who I knew, but interesting. And like, location managers and graphics and prop masters, and I got, directors, like I said. So
yeah,
I really just wanted to educate people about the below the line and what we really do and the different titles and just how hard we work.
Yeah.
And how creative we are and what it really takes to get it. to screen. So it started like that, and I just keep pursuing it and got really lucky during COVID.
Right? Everyone was
Where
available.
everyone was available.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I'm going out. I'm going out. I'm
Let's
balls
go.
out. I'm
Yeah.
just going for it. And got like good people, just people that I really wanted to talk to,
Yeah.
and like people I dorked out on. So then I just kept going.
Yeah.
And like I'm not really consistent with it. Like I can't do it. I can't do it. If my goal is like 2 a month, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like it's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then with the strike last year and finishing up a show, I was off for like 6 months.
Yeah.
So I did like 50 episodes last year. So, because again, everybody was off.
Yeah.
So I
Might
took
as well.
advantage. But I get really lucky because I also try to really promote our craft.
Mm-hmm.
I really try to promote for award season. So I just want everyone to see good work
Yeah.
and hear about how it got made.
Yeah.
And I dork out hearing it too. So,
Yeah.
and I love watching TV. I love watching movies.
Yeah.
Like I kind of wish that was just my job at sometimes.
I
So,
get that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
But
amazing.
I also do a little, thing in the beginning of like what I'm watching, what I'm reading,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
any resources that I think could help people who are like the Scorsese book I'll talk about,
Yeah.
because I think that that's just a fantastic resource for anyone looking into filmmaking.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Perfect.
I love it. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it's a great podcast. I really like listening to it. Like I said, I love all the behind the scenes stuff. And like you're saying, it's like for anyone, it doesn't really matter because you can like for the listeners, you can just like scroll through the episodes and like, if you have a favorite show and you see one of the people, like listen to that episode and just learn about the shows that you watch or you like. And it just, it puts into perspective how much the village that it takes to make a film or a show.
I've been really lucky with guests, but
That's awesome.
And I hopefully I can continue to do it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Right.
Once your boys are younger, right? You said 5. So once they get older, then they can be co-hosts and then
Yeah. Maybe they could do some editing for me.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I lack like social media. Like I don't have time to actually promote my stuff. So maybe they can get a little older, they can do it for me.
There you go. Have them learn all of it and it'll be great.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So everyone go listen to Decorating Pages, and I'll make sure to tag it when I do my Instagram posts. Hopefully I'll get those out as well. But perfect. Okay, so we've got 2 more things. So we'll just do the rapid fire. It's just about 5 questions. They're very specific to you. You'll find out very soon. But just some quick form questions just to end us on a fun note. Not that this hasn't been very fun for me. And then I'll ask you about the organization. So are you ready for the rapid fire?
Ready.
Okay. Here we go. One show or set that you wish you could live in.
The E.T. house.
Oh, perfect. One prop from anything that you've worked on or that you've just seen that you'd wish that you could keep.
So many.
The giraffe from The Good Place.
I mean, that's costumes.
That's okay.
I would say, well, then I'd have to say the green dress from Scarlett O'Hara and Gone with the Wind.
Okay, perfect. Something you always have on you or with you when you're working on a project.
Well, my cell phone's too easy, but in like equipment or
just something you couldn't live without. Like maybe that's like in your car all the time or like.
Well, tape measure.
Tape measure. Nice. I did work on a PA job one time where she's like, have a fanny pack, have a tape measure and a notebook and pens with no caps or something like that.
This would be my set. Clicky. I need a clicky.
Yeah.
Because I never write all over myself if I don't have a clicky Sharpie. So maybe that's it.
Yeah. She was always like, it takes too much time to remove a cap. You need to be. I was like, okay.
Oh no.
I was like, oh dear, what did I get myself into? No. Okay, 2 more questions. Very simple. Favorite movie of all time at the moment?
Oh, right now, Casino.
Perfect. And then favorite TV show
of all time?
Yeah.
Or Sopranos.
Sopranos. Cool. That's a lot of people's favorite show. I know that.
Yeah, it's so good.
It is. Perfect. All right. So the last thing I do with my guest is I ask them about a group, organization, or charity that they want to shed a little bit of light on. So if you just want to explain which one you chose and just talk about it a little bit, and then I'll make sure to, I have links on my website. I have a drop down on my website that has everybody's organizations from every episode, so that will be linked there. But yeah, Kim, if you just want to talk a little bit about the one you chose.
Sure. It's such a genuinely nice thing to do. That's such a nice little shout out. So kudos to you. So unselfish of you.
Appreciate it.
I have a friend introduced me to an organization years and years ago. And I think I volunteered once or twice, but I think it's just a wonderful program, which is it's called A Window Between Worlds,
Mhm.
and they have a physical place. I don't know what you would call a place in Venice, but it's art therapy for children, for abused children.
Yeah.
And my friend is or was, I don't know, I'm a friend with her. A therapist at the time, and found that children can, express things through art a lot more easily sometimes than verbally. So I just fell in love with that, and years later, my husband is a therapist now, and I see now that my kids do art projects constantly and constantly. So I'm reminded all the time about this organization, and I have kept donations up every year with them. And I just think it's so important to not only encourage the arts, but to also remember that kids need to not just be shut in a corner and their feelings hidden. Like the expression that comes out of just my kids when they're creating things is unbelievable to me. And I've seen drawings of some of the things that the organization has put out, and some of them are a little heartbreaking and everything, but you have to think that will hopefully make that child grow and release some of the pain or anything that they're feeling. So I always have thought it's a great organization. Kathy Slazer, I'm saying her name wrong, but she runs the organization, and again, you can volunteer in Venice if you have the time. But A Window Between Worlds.
Amazing.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for talking about it. We'll definitely check it out. Actually one of my friends, the very first person who I ever interviewed on this podcast, she's actually going to school right now for a master's degree in like therapeutic art specifically for that. So I was like, when you told me about that on the little farm, I was like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. I didn't know it was there was something like that down here. So that's really cool. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. And they're always looking for supplies and like donations and things like that. So
perfect.
Yeah, that's always a thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, Kim. Well, I technically had more questions, but I want to keep these contained to an hour. Otherwise, we'd be here way too long. So I really appreciate you taking the time and talking with me and letting me fangirl a little bit and giving us some behind the scenes.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Everyone, make sure to go check out Decorating Pages and watch all of the shows that Kim is a part of.
At least they're fun. Most of them are funny. At least you'll laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Well, thank you so much again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to episode 22 of Before They're Verified. Keep up to date on my Instagram @Before They're Verified to see when the next episode will drop, and make sure to check out Kim's podcast, Decorating Pages. Also, if you'd like to be a guest or if you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest, head to my website beforethey'reverified.com to fill out the form. You can find all the episode and charity links there as well. Now go and do something that makes you happy. I'll see you next time.